What's up YouTube, they're here from Zephyr Wargames, bringing you an Invoked Windwitch deck profile. It's very straightforward with Windwitches and the Invoked. The kind of effect that Link has had on this deck is it can't flood the board with like an Invoked mech bar and a Crystal Wing, but they are still very, very strong and can be considered slightly anti-meta. They can put up a massive fight against Zoo and of course a massive fight against Dracos, but it all depends. Anyway, without further ado, we're going to crack straight into the deck profile and show you what we've got. It's a very standard lineup straight away. So we've got the triple Alistar, the Invoker. Must play 3 of this guy. You want to 100% of the time open up with him, or one form of a way of getting into him, like Terraforming or Magical Meltdown. So 100% of the time you want that. It kind of happens about 90% of the time. There will be 10% where you don't open up with him, but there are ways that you then build into stuff like this, the Windwitch engine, which is 3 Ice Spell, triple, double Glass Spell, and 1 Snow Bell. So, for those of you who don't know, you should know by now, Ice Spell is a 1-card indestructible Crystal Wing, and the way that works is you special summon it while you control no monsters, and then when she special summons you, or normal summons, she burns your opponent for 500 life points. You special summon Glass Spell. Glass Spell then searches out Snow Bell, and then you sync these 2 up into a level 7 and sync that over into a Crystal Wing. And Windwitch Snowbell's effect basically means that the card can't be destroyed by battle or card effect. So not only do you have a 3k negator on board that also beats over huge level monsters, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effect, which is just absolutely amazing. Then we go on to the Spellbook engine. So by the Spellbook engine, what I mean is we play the 1 Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. The reason of this is it's kind of your 1 card gets the engine going. It gets you that draw card, it gets you that double draw should you need it, and it's not the end of the world getting him off board because your Windwitch engine needs no monsters on board. So if you go into him, you +2, and then if you open up into the Windwitch, or even if you already have it, you've then got an indestructible Crystal Wing on board, which is, you know, second to none. I then played a hand trap, so we played triple Ghost Ogre and Snow Rider. The reason I play triple Ghost Ogre is because I don't play the Light Kaiju. Now the reason I don't play the Light Kaiju is because I never ever really want to find myself in a situation where I have to give my opponent a 3300 beta. The main reason you play it in the deck is so you have the light target engrave as well, this is why I bumped Ghost Ogre up to 3. So if you do want to take Ghost Ogre down to 2, you can easily put the Light Kaiju in. I run a double Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs because it is an incredibly strong card, and it gets you into Purgatrio, which at the start it wasn't as big of a deal as when it first came out, but Purgatrio is just as important as Mechbar or Raijin. I then wrap it up with the 1 Max C, and then the Kaiju engine of 1 Dugoron, double Gamma Seal the Sea Turtle, and 1 Kumungus. Now the reason I've got with these 4 is because they all help me get into my kind of like main monsters that I want to go into. This gets me into Magnolicia, a 3k beta. This one gets me, well, this one doesn't help me get you into much, but it gets you into the Coitus, which again is still really, really good, but it is the lowest attack point Kaiju, which then helps you beat over your opponent's monsters. And the Dogoran helps you get into your Purgatrio, while also still giving you 2 cards that you can keep for yourself and 2 cards you give to your opponent that you're able to beat over. So that's it for the monster lineup. As you can see, quite a nice, healthy amount of monsters there. And like I said, you ideally want to be seeing your Alistar with some kind of board clearance, so you can draw into your Windwitches and stuff like that. Or you want to be going into your like Mechbas, or you just want to have the materials in hand or in grave all ready to go and extend your plays. Now onto the spells, we play triple Magical Meltdown and double Terraforming. You can put Terraforming up to 3, but it can kind of become more consistently a dead card. There are a couple of cards in this deck that do or can become dead, which is why I play Twin Twister. But putting in a third Terraforming, as consistently as you want to see Alistar, it can hurt you quite a bit as well. A 3 and 2 ratio works quite nicely, and like I said, it's entirely up to you if you want to bump that up. Double Invocation, you really don't need 3. In fact, you cycle this back. There might be the 1 in 100 times where you're like, damn, I wish I had a 3rd Invocation, but 2 is more than enough. You don't want it clogging at all. And then the card that I'm testing out, that I don't see many people test out, is the Book of the Law. Now, the Book of the Law is a quick play spell card that you tribute 1 invoked monster to special summon 1 invoked monster from your extra deck with a different original attribute from that monster. So basically, the reason I play this card is, number 1, if I am going into the attack, this can help me FTK or OTK or just do more damage, because I can turn like a Mechbar into a Raijin, or I turn a Raijin into a Mechbar or into a Magnolicia, you can just extend your plays and boost up your board quite a lot, or even go into a Purgatrio should you not have the materials in grave or your opponent have them in grave. Secondly, as a defensive card as well, if I've already used my Mechba effect or if I've already used the Raijin effect, I can then turn them into the others, so I've then got their effects active and live as well. It is a card that I am just testing out to see how it works, but I would like to think that because you can't flood the board as much, it's quite a nice way of helping you extend through your Invoked extra deck. The only one you can't get into is Elysium because it must be Fusion Summon with the above fusion materials. So that's kind of the only downside to it. But the Book of the Law is just something for, you know, something to try out, something to see if how it can help the deck out. And then we go with the Spellbook engine. I play triple Spellbook of Secrets and double Spellbook of Knowledge. You can play it the other way around, you can have 2 and 3. But the way I see this is with Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, this and this is a 1-card double draw. So you normal summon this guy. You could search out secrets, use secrets to deck thin and go into this card, into knowledge, use knowledge on this guy +2. Or the other way around, you go into this guy. If you already have an Alistair, you don't really need to waste up your normal summon, so you go into this, search this, pop your Alistair, draw 2. Or you use this, if you already have Blue Boy in hand, use this to search out Spellbook of Knowledge, or if you already have Knowledge in hand, use Spellbook to search Blue Boy out in hand, then activate this from hand, and then instead of losing a monster on board, you can lose these guys instead. So this ratio kind of works nicely for me, but like I said, you can easily turn one of the Spellbooks of Secrets into a Knowledge. This is kind of obviously the cheaper version, because Knowledge is about £8. I'm not saying it's a huge amount, but... we then play double Interrupted Kaiju. Now, if you don't play the Kaiju engine, these can easily be like Dark Holes, Regekis and stuff like that. We play double Twin Twister. You can play other back row hate like Dust Tornadoes, MSTs and Cosmic Cyclones. The reason I play Twin Twisters is because, you know, if you do go second, like I want to try and make this deck be able to go first and second. I think second can be quite beneficial for this deck because your opponent would have already filled up their grave. So being able to open up a Twin Twister, get rid of any warnings or strikes or anything that might damage your plays is quite invaluable. And then being able to ditch dead cards in your hand that you might not want, might not need for later games or earlier games, or just for you being able to get, because let's not forget, in Invoked, your graveyard is never it's never bad to have monsters in your grave. So if you open up with like 2 ice spells, go into a crystal and that's fine. Dump an ice spell. Sorry, not an ice spell. Yeah, ice spell. If you open up 2 ice spells, dump one of the ice spells, pop in 2 of your opponent's back row, and then you can kind of play on from there. And then we finish off the spells with the 1 Soul Charge because it is massively important in the game. Especially, let's say, later on in the game, you're doing okay, you've got a few life points, you've got an indestructible Crystal on board, you activate your Soul Charge, you bring back your Mechba. Like, that's just, or a Raijin. Even though you're not having your battle phase, you've still got strong cards on board. And then we finish it off with 1 Warning and 1 Strike. Obviously, Strike is apparently getting a reprint in the Code of the Duelist Special Edition, so that's an important one to keep your eyes out on, just to try and help make this deck a little bit cheaper. The only thing that's still keeping this check up is I think like Meltdowns are like a tenner, Invocations are about 15 to 20, and then your Mechbas are quite high as well. But anyway, now onto the extra deck. I play triple Invoked Mechba. Now the reason I play triple Invoked Mechba is there's 2 spaces in the extra deck. You can pretty much, the way I've done it is I've tripled up my Mechba and I've tripled up my Raijin. Now the reason I've tripled up these guys is purely because of the Book of the Law. I want to try and cycle through my monsters so I don't feel as much of the end of the world by clearing one of these guys off to bump up into the next and kind of going from there. You know, it's kind of a nice thing to kind of walk around. You can obviously triple up your Purgatrio if you want, but we only play double at the moment. But like I said, a Raijin and a Mechba is a spare 2 cards in your extra deck for however you want to play it. You can play like a rank 4 if you want, or you can just play other bits and bobs. 1 Invoked Elysium, 1 Invoked Coitius, and 1 Invoked Magnolicia. Obviously this is really nice when you've used your Maxi, and then you get to use Maxi to bring this guy out, is awesome. Invoked Coitius is quite a nice one because it sits in defense and then can attack. With a 2900 booty, it can attack with 1800 while sitting in defense, which is quite nice. And then your Synchro engine, you play your 1 Windwitch Winterbell. This is to add your burn if you're going first, but then you might want to go into a Crystal Wing to help you out next turn, or you make one of these 2 guys later on. The 1 Stardust Dragon and the 1 Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. I have seen a couple of people play some other synchros in here purely because the Ghost Ogres and the Ash Blossoms are tuners as well. but you know, you don't really want to be normal summoning them. They're like a worst case scenario. So that's where your other 2 cards can go there. It's entirely up to you to have a bit of freedom with the deck. Anyway, that is it for the Invoked Windwitch deck. Very straightforward, very simple. You can obviously side in stuff like the artifacts. They help out massively well getting into your mechbas and kind of help extending your plays. But I think the Kaiju engine is also really nice, especially if or when a zoo gets hit. Being able to open up with a Kaiju and like deal with a masterpiece or deal with a Trident quite easily without them being able to disrupt you helps you out massively. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and until next time, guys, as always, happy dueling. If you like that video, why not check out our other videos available? We've got more deck profiles, pack openings, and of course duels. And don't forget to click on the most important button of all, that subscribe button, right in the bottom left hand corner.